106th episode of the Hoosier Sound, where we are the official podcast of Indiana HQ. We are recording this edition of the Hoosier Sound on Tuesday, September 17, 2019, where I'm your host, Noah Freeman. On the docket for today, we are so excited to have the latest commit for the Indiana Hoosiers, Jordan Geronimo. Jordan, how are you doing, and how much have things settled down since committing about a couple weeks ago?
I'm doing great, thank you. Things have really settled down recently since the past week or so. When I committed, I was getting a whole bunch of calls and stuff to for interviews and stuff, but it's settled down. So I've been kind of like living the life of a normal kid now. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
sometimes here, you know,
How
I get
was
calls,
How was
that
all
kind
of
of stuff.
that, by the way? How was all of that? Just were you expecting the amount of people to contact you, the amount of publicity you were getting?
No, I wasn't actually. It was actually really crazy to me. I felt like a celebrity. It was kind of cool, but you know, that was kind of my 15 minutes of fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
you
was a feeling. Yeah.
you talked about a lot about the reason why you committed to Indiana, and it was kind of just the love for Indiana as a state and its basketball program. Let's just dive into the biggest headline for a lot of people, and just what made it stick out to you that Indiana was the school, right? Especially right after you took an official visit.
Um, the thing that really sold me was how Archie Miller, his reputation, and really just how he carried himself and how he cared for the players, and also how like the staff was just so supportive of all the players. And I feel like if I was to go over there, I thought I could just really prosper, and just be the best that I could be. And that's what really just sold me when I went to Indiana. Just how the staff was, so kind to me, was so open, was so it was just so generous. And I thought that if I was to go over there and be in that family and grow with that kind of people, I just would, guys limit to me. You know what I mean? I just grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan. Now we've got some fans out here who are asking questions through the Hoosier Sports Network, and they were wondering, can you compare the level of passion for basketball compared to your home place, New Hampshire, and what surprised you the most about Indiana being such a big basketball state?
Actually, I'm not from New Hampshire. I go to school in New Hampshire. I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically, it really surprised me a lot because I kind of came on the scene fairly fairly quick, and I didn't have time to do all my research and stuff like that. Like I don't really watch that much basketball, like college and maybe basketball. I don't kind of watch that kind of stuff. But I've heard from a couple of people say Jordan, Indiana is a basketball school, and I was just like, yeah, all right, kind of just brushed on my shoulder, and then I went over there and I truly knew what they meant because with all the just the little things that I see, I've said it like 20 times. I went to the graduate hotel, excuse me, and there's like basketball, this basketball, that, and it's just a hotel. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with uh, basketball, but yeah, it's just like stuff like that. There's like little things, just help me catch on to how deep the basketball history is in Indiana.
Yeah, no, the Hoosiers definitely have a loud fan base, that's for sure, both during wins and during losses. But let's move into your official visit a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
FKIM01 asks, what was the best part of the official visit when you were down here in Bloomington?
It was probably either between just spending time. Sorry, something happened to my phone. Uh, I had to do something with. It was in between spending time with Coach Miller and just seeing all the stuff that he's gonna prepare me for, which is kind of really exciting me. It was between that and just in the student host time I had with Armand Franklin, just living the student life. Uh, Between those two, that's what really made me say whoa, this place is gonna be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are two places, yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you've talked a few times about your official visit and centering around that, can you explain a little bit for those of us that, of course, don't get to go on those cool official visits? Can you tell us a little bit about what goes into that? Like, where do you go? Who do you see? What kind of things do you do on an official visit?
Yeah, so basically, I just met with the basketball staff. I met with Coach Cliff Marshall, the strength coach. I met with just like a bunch of the other coaches, like Coach Mike Roberts, and just everybody who's gonna play a big role in my success at Indiana University. I met Maddie White, the
Mm-hmm.
academic head something some really important title. I forgot. But yeah, I met her, and I just met those people, and then there was a lot of eating at Indiana. you eat like every like 3 hours, but I like food, so I didn't complain.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after 9 o'clock, after all those meetings and all those eating, yeah, I had some time with a student host, and that's when I was able to go around campus with them. Just go around and just do whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
We like to ask everyone, especially going on visits, and of course that would have been your first time going to Bloomington. So, did you get to go to any restaurants?
Yeah. One thing I realized is that you guys love steak. You guys love your steak. We went to Malibu's, I think it's called,
Uh-huh.
and they had like steak sizes I didn't know was even possible. like 46-ounce steak. I'm like, what? It's huge, but like my memory is kind of like fading right now. But we went to other restaurants. We went to this breakfast restaurant. Excuse me, and it was like selling like these big pancakes to like this big, and you guys just do a big over there with food. I guess I don't know, but like yeah, you guys had great restaurants over there. It was really really good food.
Oh yeah, you're totally gonna love the amount of restaurants that you can go eat at, the variety and everything. It's gonna be something to look forward to. But wrapping up your official visit, what was and I kind of like this question. Badger Vol from the Hoosier Sports Nation asked, "What did you like most about about IU with non-basketball related during your visit?"
I actually liked my meeting with Maddie White. I actually liked it a lot because like she seemed like super friendly, and she was like really brief and concise with how she and the players got things done on the academic side, and she was really confident in it because she said that it works, and that's something that I really liked about that, and also with the time I spent with Armand Franklin and the guys, and just like how much I kind of built a bond with them in those 2 nights I had with them. It was something that I really liked a lot.
Yeah, is that something that's important to you? A lot of the academic stuff as well.
Yeah, from the like when I was a young kid, my mom was like always tell me, Jordan, like academics first things first. And when it came to St. Paul, it's like I wasn't even a recruit. Like I just came for academics, and I didn't even have any like big dreams of playing basketball like that. But yeah, so academics is kind of like something that is kind of serious to me. So.
Mm-hmm. You're definitely going to get a great education at IU, which is something that's awesome. Is there a specific major that you have in mind yet, or are you still just feeling things out?
I'm kind of filming things out, but I might do something with architecture. That's something that I would like. But I'm still kind of trying to
Sure.
move around and stuff. So
Yeah, makes sense. I know you have a bit of a different story of how you got into basketball compared to maybe most. You want to tell us a little bit about that? How you grew up and got into playing basketball?
yeah. So I basically grew up in a basketball family. Like my mom played at UNC. She played in the same era when Michael Jordan was over there. And actually, a fun fact about me was I was actually named after Michael Jordan. Kind of weird.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shoes to fill. Anyway, yeah, and my dad played. My dad was born and raised in the DR in the Dominican Republic, and he played for the Navy in DR, and yeah, so that was his upbringing, I guess. And from a young age, I was playing basketball, but like it was nothing really like serious to me until like my freshman sophomore year in high school. But it was always just like an extreme hobby, I guess. You know what I mean? Like I always just go to get shots up, just dribble the ball, to go outside and play basketball. Just always bug my brother. But like his name was Jose. Like Jose, come play basketball with me, come play basketball. And that until he gives up and comes plays with me. And it was just just like my love for the sport that just kept me going. And I got my big break, like April, I guess. No, not April. I forgot the months. Anyways, so I got my big break when my head coach from St. Paul's, his name was Grant Edwards. He left the school because his wife was in New York, and having a marriage that far from New Hampshire to New York is kind of like a lot. And so he left the school, and we had this new coach, which I have now. His name is Mr. Gordon, Max Gordon, and he was just like this young guy with this like energy and all this this fire to bring St. Paul's basketball to where it's supposed to be. St. Paul's isn't really a basketball school, and so with that, he did all this recruiting, and he found this guy named Jack Anderson, and Jack Anderson played for Mass Rivals at the time, and so he was like, Jordan, you want to come play with Rivals? I was like, sure, why not? Just to get a workout in. So I went to one day workouts, and then just Vince was like, this guy is good. I was like, me? Like, you sure you're talking about me? He's like, yeah, you're good. And I was like, all right. And then so Vince took me under his wing. I played basketball. I learned how to play with the big guys, and I just took off from there. So, yeah.
Awesome. So one question I was wondering, Jordan, like not too many people are familiar with sort of the New Jersey, New Hampshire area. Do you have any fun facts about that area or any interesting things to do? Something that Hoosier fans may not know about?
In New Hampshire, there's not that much to do, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. But in Jersey, I live in Newark, and Newark is like not that much of a safe place, but like as much like I only leave the house if I have plans with my friends, like so that's what I do like back at home. But in New Hampshire, when me and my friends go out, like we like to like get a little rambunctious, you know what I mean? Like not like like vandalize stuff like that. We just like messing around, but safe stuff, you know what I mean? But it's just fun to like go around and it's quiet time to conquer New Hampshire. You just do things, you know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You talked a little bit about how you had your breakout relatively recently, at least compared to maybe a lot of people in the top 100 for recruiting rankings. So what would you give yourself as for a scouting report, since a lot of Hoosiers haven't really heard your name, at least until recent? So can you tell a lot of people that might not have been able to see your game, what would a scouting report on yourself look like?
If I was giving myself a scouting report, it would be that's a great question.
Mr. Unstoppable.
I mean, like, I don't want to like make myself seem like this big crazy guy, because like I'm kind of a humble guy, but I would just say just put a hand up, don't get dunked on, that's basically it, man. And like and if I'm in help defense, it's better off to just driving past. That's awesome. Because I'm going to catch the ball. So.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So, moving on to sort of the IU aspect of things, when did the Hoosiers start recruiting you, and how often did they follow up?
Actually, I got the offer out of nowhere. Like, we was in California. I believe I was in California like mid-July, and I got a text from Archie Miller, and like he was like, "This Archie Miller, Indiana. I like your game. Da da da. I want to offer you." I was like, "Whoa!" It just happened too fast, and I was like, "Wow!" Like was really crazy how like all this stuff was happening to me because like I know like I'm getting all these other offers, but like I was like Indiana, like this is probably like it's gonna be big, and so like every like three times a week he was over so like someone from Indiana would call me, just check up on me, and like like those calls like make a big difference for me, just let me know like who's interested, who like actually wants me to be there, and those calls from Indiana was actually like something that I enjoyed. So.
Mm-hmm. So adding on to a lot of the calls and just checking up on you after they officially offered you, what was Archie Miller's pitch to you? How does he see you fitting in his basketball program?
Excuse me. He said that he sees me like or as a freshman, he sees me like getting like a good amount of minutes coming off the bench, like just for playing defense and my ability to shoot threes. He said that's something that's a good base to work on. But he said that like my game right now could be like, molded into like something like great. And he said that if I'm going to be in his hands, he's going to turn me into something that's going to be unstoppable. So like I just believe him. So that's kind of why I said like okay, so this guy he knows what he's doing, and he hasn't before. We got people like Victor Oladipo. I mean like that's back when like Tom Queen was there, but like there was Romeo Langford. You know what I'm saying? It's people like he knows what he's doing. So I trusted him. So
sure.
So Jordan, what was the biggest sort of decision? I'm sorry, what was the biggest factor that went into your decision? The biggest aspect? What was the most important thing that drove you to choose IU?
It was actually the end of my official visit, and he kind of gave a presentation in his house. We went to his house. We had dinner with other players, and after that, we had a ping pong tournament. But other than that, like he sat my family down, and we watched his like presentation, and like he was like comparing me to like all these like great names and players like OG Anunoby and people like that. Like he was saying like like you have like this great base, this great the ground to work off of, and like if you come here, like he was saying that I could be great, and that's just something that like I was like I gotta come, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what really just made me like feel like Indiana's the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's comparing you to OG Anunoby, you know where OG is right now, and that's a pretty awesome goal to be able to achieve. So, we like to ask, especially since Indiana's gotten 3 recruits already in the class of 2020. Everyone likes to ask and ask recruits about if you are particularly recruiting anyone. First, did any of the 2 previous recruits at Indiana talk to you or anything, and then are you recruiting anyone, and if so, who are they?
Honestly, they haven't like talked to me, but like it's not their fault because like it kind of happened out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I never dropped like a top 5 schools. I never dropped like top 7, top 10. But when I did like post my first Instagram picture, like saying me not committed, Trey Lil started texting me on Instagram. Anthony Leo, my bad. Anthony Leo started texting me, and Trey Galloway started texting me, and they was just saying, oh come to IU, and that was when our first relationship started. But yeah, that was that, and I've just been on like high school recruiting reports on Instagram, seeing who's having Indiana in their top schools. I just texted this big guy from Dillon, Minnesota. I think he's in like Drew something, and because he has Indiana in his top 7, and like I just gave him like this paragraph. I was saying like I'm not sure if he came to Indiana yet for an official, but like Indiana is a great place. So I was just saying Indiana is something that will turn you into a superstar. You'd be great here, and I was just saying if you pull up, we could make a run for the NCAA championship. So I was just saying that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Was it Dawson Garcia you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
Got it.
Oh, that's funny. I liked how you mentioned you didn't really have like a top 5 or top 7. It seems like some recruits out there have like a top 20 and things like that.
Yeah,
It's almost overkill. But
yeah.
I was wondering, so are you familiar with Hoosier Hysteria, the big preseason event down here in Bloomington?
I'm not.
All right, so just to give you a little background, it's this big event. It's like a preseason exhibition. They fill up the place, and it's really sort of the introductory day for the basketball team just before the season starts. Now, there's a dunk contest. That's the highlight of the night. All right, and now I know you've got a few dunks up your sleeve. What is the best dunk you've ever done in a game?
In the game,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about my one hand tomahawks, but like probably the best dunk I had in the game was like a back scratcher on this one kid over the summer. Oh my god, it was bad. Like
Now, have you ever been dunked on the other way? You said you don't like it. Has it happened the other way?
one time I got dunked on. I
Oh
was
man.
dunked on because I met him at the top. I hit the ball in his hand like at the top, like I was there. But somehow, the basketball guys was like, Jordan, have it.
Oh man.
Now, as you get to your as you get to Indiana and you're able to get on campus, what are your goals your freshman season? What are you looking to come in to do?
That's a good question. Like I'm just trying to come in and just like do anything that the team needs, to be better. You know what I mean? Like I just want to come in and contribute and use my abilities that I learned along the way to make the teams better. You know what I mean? Mostly like on the defensive end, I want to be able to to guard people like who's not my position. Like I'll be able to guard twos, threes, fours, even ones. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to contribute any way I can.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's an attitude I think all Hoosier fans will grow to love. Now let's transition into some fun stuff here, Jordan. All IU fans are into the nicknames. Like OG, like you talked about Anunoby earlier. It's just his first name, but whatever. Do you have any, or have you had any nicknames in the past, or are you just coming into IU and hoping something happens?
I've never had a nickname. I mean, people call me Jay sometimes. Something simple, but like. I've never had a nickname, but it'll be cool to find out what the people in the end are going to come up with.
Yeah.
Now, hold on though. I heard you say something about ping pong. You want to go into that real quick? Are you a ping pong player a little bit?
I mean, no, but I get really competitive. So like, it's kind of funny to watch me because like I suck, but like I'm just really into it. So,
no worries.
Yeah.
I know you've got to run to a meeting, but real quick, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we've got a rapid fire round, so just a quick answer. But before we get to that, do you have any pregame rituals you always like to do?
Pregame rituals? I always sit down at the when there's 2 minutes left until the game starts. I always sit down on the bench and just pray. I mean mostly every game. I sit down and be like, thank you God for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for for this, for that, and let's get this money. And I play.
There you go. I love it. Now, Noah touched on it a minute ago. Let's get into a little rapid fire action here. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind for whatever we ask. Don't think about it for too long. First up, who's your favorite NBA team, and do you have a favorite player?
Favorite NBA team, the Bulls. Favorite player, Paul George.
Oh, nice. I'm a Bulls fan too. Chicago. Are you a video game guy? And if so, which games? And are you Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox all the way. Warframe.
Ooh. Awesome. I love it. Favorite TV show or movie?
Favorite TV show? Friends. Favorite movie? Jeepers Creepers.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm glad I asked that question. Favorite? What's on Jordan Geronimo's pregame playlist?
Pregame playlist?
Yeah.
Hard by Ticket.
Oh, all right, nice. Which actor would you pick to play you in a movie?
Denzel Washington.
Oh, nice. I like it.
If you didn't play basketball, what would you do?
Play volleyball.
Ooh. Where in the world would you like to visit?
Egypt.
Favorite breakfast?
French toast.
Lunch.
Burger.
And then what's your favorite dinner?
Spaghetti.
Oh, I like it. Do you have any hidden talents that Hoosier fans don't know about? Victor Oladipo was a singer. That caught IU fans off guard. Do you have any hidden talents?
Nah. Not hidden talents. Yeah, nah.
Just that you're crazy competitive at ping pong.
Yeah, ping pong, yeah.
What's your favorite subject in school?
Yeah. I have a talent. I can scratch my knee standing up.
Whoa. All right, hold on. You two people, here we go.
My knee right here?
Yeah.
I mean, but I can just
nice
scratch my knee.
Wow.
That just shows how long his wingspan is. And for those that are not going to watch this on the YouTube broadcast, go up to YouTube and about the 25.5-minute mark. Jordan is going to demonstrate scratching his knees from standing up without bending over.
Oh man, I cannot do that for sure. What's your favorite subject in school?
Math.
All right. And if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
If I want superpower, it would be telekinesis. Because with telekinesis, I can do a lot of things like fly. I can be like, be super strong if I wanted to. I can just, put the ball in the basket without even doing anything.
True.
Like
True. I like it. All right. Our last question so you can get to your meeting is, what is one thing Hoosier fans don't know about you that they should?
I'm a really open book, honestly. They don't know about me. I don't know.
Oh,
you have to get back to us, and then we'll tweet it out at some point. But Jordan, again, thank you so much for your time. I know you've been busy, just school coming up, committing, all of it. But before we hop off, where can people find you on social media if they aren't already?
My Instagram is at Jordan_Geronimo. That's my Instagram. My Twitter is Jordan Geronimo #2.
Again, thanks so much for your time, Jordan. Thanks for coming on for us, and best of luck to you senior year.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are going to head into a little bit of Ohio State talk since we've got some time, and might be a little bit of a sore subject, but for those that want to continue listening about the previous game against Ohio State, I'll say that I think a lot of us are very upset, and rightly so, but I don't think the season is over. So let's bounce into a little bit of the Ohio State game, and I have a feeling I like to get Matt and Nathan's thoughts, and just Nathan's here since we had the interview with Jordan, but I always like to ask your opening thoughts on the game, and I think I know what it's going to be. But Nathan, what were your opening thoughts after, and I guess a few days after the 51-10 loss has started to soak in?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to really share anything groundbreaking here with IU fans. We all saw the game on Saturday. It was a full-scale, proper shellacking of this IU team that came in feeling pretty good about themselves. Some of the players said it after the game, they were feeling good. In fact, I remember Michael Penix, the IU's quarterback who did not play on Saturday, he mentioned last week after the Eastern Illinois win, look, we're just treating this like another game. Ohio State, I think he said we put our pants on the same way they do, something like that. Look, at the end of the day, IU was shown exactly what a top 6 program in the country looks like. At the same time, last week I had said, regardless of who the opponent was, Eastern Illinois, I said IU played better than I expected. And in this situation, regardless of who the opponent is, and it was Ohio State, and I understand that, I think IU played worse than they should have. I'm not saying they would have ended up winning the game. That's not where I'm going at all. But I think IU almost caught a blessing in disguise here, playing a really poor game as far as their standards go against a really good team. Because if this game happened against a Northwestern or a Purdue or a Maryland, some games that a lot of people are considering swing games for IU, they would have lost by 20 or 30 points playing those teams. It just was a really poor showing from IU in all facets of the game. It's not one person in particular you can point your finger at. Really, no one stood out from an IU perspective, and the coaches agreed. They didn't name any IU players of the week yesterday during their press conference. It was all scout team stuff. So overall, that's where things are. Again, IU still 2-1. That's where almost everyone had IU after 3 games, and now they do get an opportunity to bounce back on Saturday against UConn.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of it, and I think everyone agrees with your take that it was everyone expected a loss, and maybe even not 51-10, but maybe even a wide margin of a loss. But it was just the way that they ended up losing. And first of all, I do want to we always give Crimson Cast a shout out, but they did an exceptional job on the Ohio State recap. 100% go listen to that. They have a lot of great takes. It's not 100% doom and gloom, but I think they just summed it all up very, very well in about 40 or 50 minutes. So 100% go listen to them. They've got great takes on this, better than Nathan and I might come up with within the next 20 or 30 minutes. But definitely really, really disappointing in just how they played. And you're going to hear that from everyone, but it's just the reality. People didn't want to come out to a game like that and show up for that type of output. And Tom Allen before the game talked about how this could be a program changing game if they were to get a victory. And I feel like it was also the opposite thing, that if they were able to, if that showing happened, that it would turn off a lot of fans, especially that were there in person for the rest of the season. Now, I don't think that's the majority. I think a win could have done a lot more to help them than a loss could to hurt them, but it was just the way they played. And like you said, there was almost not one positive thing to take away from it. And it wasn't even like the special teams has been really good. And Logan Justice hasn't gotten a lot in the punt team. Like the amount of times that you thought they were going to punt, that they were still punting it down the field. And regardless, maybe the defense just slowed Ohio State down to 20, 30 points. And that's actually pretty good for the opponent comparatively. But it was just none of that. There was no facet of it. And we were talking in the back channels right after the game that we were talking about something that we feel comfortable with. And Cody, I think it was Cody, said that he was like, just with a lot of question marks next to it, was like, the only person I'm really confident right now about is Logan Justice with the kicking. It's almost not even like the offensive line to protect him for that. Right now, I feel like it's only Logan Justice, because Peyton Whitehead, our star punter, that's on it's the Ray Guy Award for the punters, right? I always get the punter and the kicker awards mixed up, but the Ray Guy Award, potentially going to the NFL. He lined up in the wrong spot for that block punt, and it was just, even our number one special teams in the entire nation going into the weekend didn't do very well. So let's pick apart a little bit of this. Like I said, go listen to Crimson Cast. They broke this down really well. But let's start with the offense. And let's talk about the running game. I think the running game, like Nathan talked about, there's not much you can take away from a positive or negative side, I guess, from this kind of opponent. We'll have to wait until Michigan State / the middle of the season to really get the type of opponent that is close to Indiana. But I think the one thing that we can be concerned about is the running game. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And look, at this point, we're 3 weeks in, and we've seen IU struggle to run against bad teams, and we saw them struggle mightily to run against Ohio State. If you ask me, I think at this point, Kalen DeBoer needs to consider abandoning the traditional running game, sort of line them up and smack them in the mouth, I formation or single back, under center, all that sort of thing. I think IU's got to try some unique curveball type stuff in order to gain rushing yards. And we saw a little bit of it. We've seen a little bit of it so far with Whop Phillier on some end rounds, with Penix or Ramsey taking off in a read option type of situation. I think that's how IU's going to have to get their running game going, because right now, whatever they're doing is not good enough, regardless of whether it's Stevie Scott or Samson James or Cole Guest or whoever. And I'm putting it more on the offensive line, not so much the tailbacks themselves. There are 3 quality offensive linemen on the staff, on the starting 5, and then the starting right tackle Caleb Jones is like 6'7" and a massive number of pounds. I mean, that guy looks like
one big cinder block.
Yeah, he looks ginormous. I mean, there's no reason they should be struggling this much, but here we are. And you look forward on the schedule. Michigan State's got a great run defense. Michigan's got an amazing run defense, and teams like Northwestern and even Maryland and Rutgers can slow you down. So I think you've got to try to use the speed, use the East-West type of style in order to get those rushing yards and to move the chains, or else you're going to have to put a lot of responsibility on the quarterback, on the shoulders of your quarterback. And speaking of quarterback shoulders, Michael Penix seems to be in a week-to-week situation. So, I think Kalen DeBoer and Tom Allen have to perhaps go back to the drawing board this week offensively and try to maybe experiment with something Saturday against UConn, because that really is the final sort of gimme type game, unless you want to put Rutgers in that list, right? I mean, it gets serious very quickly here for IU.
Yep, I really don't like this year's schedule, and remember, the schedules are made, 3, 4, 5 years in advance, so this is not like basketball where Tom Allen last year picked all of these opponents. It's picked way in advance, but this year I really don't like how it's just 130 opponents in the FBS or an FCS school. Remember, football 130s is the bottom of FBS, but it's either a relatively, I'm going to say this poorly, this is not what media people are supposed to do, but really poor teams and really good teams. There's not much middle ground for a lot of this. But I do want to interject that Jordan just messaged me on Instagram saying that one thing Indiana people don't know about me is that I'll take anyone on in Smash Bros. All caps, ask Trace. I love it. I love it. So I don't think anyone wants to take on Jordan in Super Smash Bros. And he's been playing Trace Jackson Davis. And if there's anyone that ever gets asking any questions, we'll have to after some games be just like, hey Trace, I heard that Jordan beat you up in Super Smash Bros. And that'll get a laugh. But
they might have to do that at Hoosier Hysteria. Replace like a 3-point contest or something. Just have the team play against each other. Put it up on the scoreboard, the big screen. I don't think that's a horrible idea. I might have to let somebody know about that, because
remember, usually there's a football game going on, and at least the past few years, instead of that, we get to have Trace and Jordan doing some Super Smash Bros on the big screen. That'd be odd. That'd be great, actually.
Yeah, next year we'll see what happens.
Yes. But into the offensive line / running game, 100% agree. I think this offensive line needs to step up in multiple different ways, not just on the field, but off the field. And they need to get into the right mindset, because that's one unit that we've seen much better from. It's not like we're hoping that they can exceed X goal. We've seen them do stuff before, and they're just not achieving even what they did last year, even with some of the replacements, which are very good replacements, by the way. They just need to get better. And I think they will. They're very... There are a lot of veterans on that offensive line. There's only one sophomore, mostly juniors and seniors. So I think they'll be able to get it. It's just hard to watch it take place, I guess, so slow for the offensive line in such a veteran group. But I really liked what I want to keep mentioning them. So like I said, go listen to it. But Crimson Cast, again, summed this up really well. It's like last year you looked at Peyton Ramsey, and I really hope at least no one's talking about Peyton Ramsey being one of the big reasons that they lost to Ohio State. You look at last year, and Peyton Ramsey made it a game when he was a year younger on the road, and the quarterback was definitely not an issue. So hopefully, like you said, Penix is back, at least if it's not against UConn, because I have no worry against Ramsey going up against UConn or maybe even Michigan State, even if he can get another week off, which, by the way, that kind of shows you we're not going to preview UConn this week with the Jordan Geronimo interview. It's going to kind of be the same that we had for Eastern Illinois and almost Ball State. But let's move over to the defense a little bit. I think we can just sum up offense, that the offensive line needs to get it. Quarterback is going to figure it out. We hope that Penix can stay healthy too. Running backs, Stevie Scott needs to he just needs to do a better job. I feel confident saying that. A lot of it is the offensive line. I feel confident saying that. The coaching needs to find better ways to utilize the running backs, because I feel like it's pretty random right now with how the running backs are being used. Receivers, they did better, I think. I think they're dropping less balls than they usually do, but it's also hard to take it away when you only score 10 points. So receivers, I guess, are still a question mark. But let's go over to the defense, a team that probably should not have given up 51 points despite the opponent. So what were blaring things out of the defense you saw? Is there anything we can take away, or is it still kind of we played such a good opponent, we just have to wait and see?
It's kind of a combination of the two. I think the run defense was the biggest concern. Underline it, highlight it, whatever. It does. Look. Ohio State does have a top-notch, a couple of top-notch offensive linemen. Their unit as a whole played cohesively and powerfully. With that said, though, it still was disappointing to see both J.K. Dobbins and Master Teague easily pry through IU's run defense for chunk plays. It seemed like every possession. Again, it's just not good enough. And I wonder what sort of adjustments Tom Allen will make against UConn, and then Michigan State, a powerful physical type football team. It's going to be interesting to see how they shore that up. But again, in no world should IU be giving up over 300 rushing yards to any team. It doesn't matter if it's Ohio State or whoever. So they've got to figure that out. If they don't, things could get ugly. But for now, I'm just looking forward to seeing how IU. I noticed IU rotated a lot of defensive linemen, and it was a pretty warm day in Bloomington on Saturday. But with that said, you can't really make any excuses for that kind of effort. You can't not. You've got to run the ball and you've got to stop the run. Tom Allen said as much during his press conference after the game Saturday, and you've got that's really the primary focus for IU this week. In addition to their tackling, which that sort of went hand in hand with not stopping the run. So you've got to shore that up ASAP.
Yep. I've got 3 things I want to cover. I'll go in order from least concerned to very concerned. And I'm mentioning these because I'm still somewhat concerned in all of them. But the first one is still the tackling. I think there were still so many missed tackles that I even against Ohio State, you can see, maybe J.K. Dobbins is just that much bigger, faster, stronger, that he's going to mow over a couple people, but not 6 or 7. One of his touchdowns, it was 5, 6, or 7 that Fox even highlighted, that they counted every time there was a missed tackle. And it's like that's just unacceptable, especially when 2 people are on him at once. There's no excuse for 2 people touching a running back that he shouldn't be going down right away. My next thought was, I'm starting to get concerned about this a little bit, that the defense they don't necessarily know their job 100% of the time. Now, I'll preface this by this. There are a lot of defensive schemes. The situations are different, all of it. But usually there's someone covering almost every position on the field at a time. More specifically, the running back. Usually there's a linebacker whose job it is to look at what the running back's doing and then follow of what they're doing. And even in zone coverages or just whatever man coverages, schemes, and whatever, usually there's a guy that's going on the running back. Sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle of things. Same thing with QB. But overall, I started to see glimpses of it last year. Now I'm starting to get a little concerned of it because especially this year or this past game, there were a lot of people that didn't know, am I supposed to have the running back? Who has the quarterback? Whose job? Like, who am I covering at this point in time? And that's just that's not a physical thing. That's a mental thing. That people need to know what defense you're using, what the play is, and who has the specific person in the backfield. Because there were too many times that it wasn't just it wasn't just Justin Fields running and being crazy, just under Heisman type of quarterback. It was more people just not. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to have the running back, and the running back could like pass it out to skip it out to go east and west, and then run down the field, and no one was technically supposed to be on him. Or the same thing with the QB. So I'm starting to get a little concerned about that. I hope people can figure out their job. And then the last one, as I go on a very long rant, this was also something I noticed last year a lot. And I understand this is a young team, but at some point you need to not have so many backups in. The amount of times that Ohio State smoked the Hoosiers, if you looked at who got smoked, especially in the secondary, it was because quote unquote backups, people that wouldn't start on the very first play of the game on defense, is because those backups were in. And I know you want to give playing time to people. I know you're trying to rotate. It's a hot day, but it's happened a lot. It's not just this game. That's why I'm starting to bring it up now, because it happens all the time. And if you really go back and look at some of the highlight plays for Ohio State, you look at the person covering them, it's not a top 4 or top 5 secondary player on this team. And that's starting to get a little concerning, especially with Tom Allen, because I don't think I'd have to go back and check it. I don't think he did that when he jumped this defense up 30, 40 spots in the rankings. So, do you have any comments or thoughts about what I just mentioned?
Well, it's a fine line, right, between using your depth and then getting burned by it. It's a tough balance to strike. I think Tom Allen's tried to emphasize that his roster is deep, at least deeper than usual this season.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. But it doesn't work when your backups get busted. And I'm sorry, but you can't go down by 30, 40 points and then be like, oh wait, maybe the backup should sit. No, you might have to give your starters and give them a fighting chance. You can't wait till the fourth quarter to try and think, oh, I plan about being gassed or whatnot. You can't do that if you're going down by 20 or 30 points.
Well, and then here's the thing, if they get burned and they give up a big touchdown to whoever, well, then that kid's probably not going to play much going forward. I mean, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. I mean, as much as that hurts to say, whoever that player might be, and I can't remember it off the top of my head.
It was a bunch of scenarios.
Yeah, right. And exactly. It's not just one player in particular. You're just not going to play, and if you can't make the stop and you can't do whatever, well. If you can use that red shirt, you'll use that red shirt and just learn from it. Or if you don't have a red shirt, you'll just have to, figure it out in practice or next season. That's just kind of the way it is. I think Tom Allen is, I think I got the sense from Tom Allen, he was personally disappointed in how his team played. He almost took it personally to a degree. He did admit that Ohio State's a program that, there aren't too many other teams in the country that could do what Ohio State did as far as speed and strength and physicality, but at the same time, Tom Allen expected a lot more, and I think IU fans expected a lot more. But we'll see how it goes. Again, the good news though is that they have a winnable matchup coming up.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Crimson Cast touched on this. Great. They talked about a lot of the post-game press conferences. A lot of the players talked about just not getting excited for this. And that's also a slight concern, because if there's any game in the entire season that you're going to get excited for, it's a game where you're 2-0. You have a top 6 opponent coming on your home turf. Everyone's going to come out for the game. Right now, everyone's optimistic about you finally beating someone in the last 31 years that you haven't been able to beat. And if you can't get excited for that, that's also concerning in a way. So I really hope it was just maybe post-game press conference jitters, not knowing what to say, just kind of saying vanilla things. But you want to say something?
I did not get the vibe that entering the game they were lacking confidence or excitement. Yeah. I thought they were pretty fired up, and then they just got kicked in the teeth, in all seriousness.
Yeah.
But part of life is figuring out how to bounce back from down moments and struggles, and again, we'll see. Again, IU is lucky that they played this game against Ohio State, because had they played this game against Maryland or Northwestern or some team, they were kind of a swing game on the fence of beating, they would have lost by a ton as well, and then people would have been really upset. I'll tell you
might not have a chance to go bowling.
Well, it's that is still in the cards for now, and I guess as far as IU fans are concerned, that's probably the most important thing this season. In all honesty,
Yep. No matter how it happens, but I know this is a bit of a somber end to an episode. But Nathan, as we start to wrap up, what can we take away at least from the game against UConn on Saturday? What can Hoosier fans at least start to get back on the right track and kind of get this bad taste of the Ohio State loss out of their mouth?
Well, the first question is the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback's the front and center always, and we'll see if Michael Penix is available against UConn on Saturday. Tom Allen said he's week to week game time decision, so don't expect anything before Saturday at 11:58 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see whether Penix plays or whether it's Peyton Ramsey again. Defensively, I'm curious to see if Kane Womack changes some things up. It seemed like IU was content to rush 3 or 4 against Justin Fields and drop 7 or 8 in coverage, and Fields didn't have too tough a time picking that apart. No, he's an exceptional quarterback. He's one of probably the top 2 or 3 in the conference, if not the top 1. But with that said, I'm looking forward to seeing if IU can maybe pressure UConn a little, blitz them a little bit, maybe bring something off the corner or off from the corner or from the safeties. I expect IU to play angry on Saturday, and I think right now the spread's like 27, 28 points. I think IU will end up actually covering that Saturday. Not that Indiana HQ and the Hoosier Sound condone betting. You guys watch yourselves.
Yep, the game is noon on Saturday. It's on BTN. The spread right now is 27. It's going down a little bit, but UConn played Wagner in their first game, won 24-21. But then they last weekend, 2 weekends ago, they lost to Illinois 31-23. So they actually played Illinois pretty close, but Illinois just lost to Eastern Michigan. So we'll have to see where that actually can take them. But 96.3% chance on the ESPN Matchup Predictor that Indiana is going to win. And we'll get back to discussing some football next weekend and hopefully prepare for Michigan State a little better than they did against Ohio State. But that about wraps it up for our 106th episode of the Hoosier Sound. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate especially that live audience that came out and chatted with us. I know we had a couple questions come in on YouTube, but we didn't get to answer them just with time constraint. But hope everyone enjoyed that, especially the interview. It's just some great stuff from Jordan. Maybe we can try and get him back on later to dive in depth a little more of some stuff. But, of course, subscribe to us so you can get a lot of these great interviews when we get them. News and updates come on Twitter at the Hoosier Sound at Indiana HQ, so you can get notified. Hey, these guys have a great podcast coming out. But most importantly, if you enjoy the show, leave us a review on iTunes or Facebook, whether it's good or bad, more or less. We definitely take criticism and constructive criticism well, so you can leave us a review on how you really think. But if you enjoy the show, especially tell a friend, share our links. That's really how our podcast grows. But as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.